I'm starting by removing the old face paint with acetone. After that I use water and a little dish soap to get rid of the acetone residue. Once the face paint is off, I create a pocket to face in false eyelashes. To be safe, I also use some super glue. Then I trim the eyelashes. Now it was time to create a new personality with a repaint. I let the face develop and each step leads me further. Before I start painting the doll, I spray her with Mr. Super Clear. This is repeated a couple of times. I use soft pastels, watercolor pencils and also acrylic paint. I will let you watch the process for a while without talking. I erase if necessary with both eraser and cotton swabs with and without water. The eyelashes are painted with acrylic paint. If you like this video and want to see more unique doll transformations in the future from my channel, I hope you will subscribe if you haven't already. The face painting is finished. Off with the layer MSC, and for shine and charm I also use an acrylic gloss on the lips, eyes and even a small dab on the nose. The only thing I was really sure about when I started this project was that I wanted a lovely swirling height to the hair. I pictured the icing on a cupcake, or as I finally decided, a soft ice cream. When the hair was done, I felt like I wanted to get a little more life and movement in the hanging hair, and I ended up using a curling iron. It started out really well, but unfortunately I lost concentration a few times and I melted the hair a little in some places. I thought about if I could save it, but then the scissors came out. I started by simply cutting off the frizzy parts. Luckily, the doll actually has a bit too much hair, and it didn't really matter that it had to be cut off a bit. I continued cutting through the hair until I had a shape I was happy with. In the final hairstyle, there is at least a little twist at the top, and you can sense a little waffle in the under hair. Instead of sewing a corset-like top this time, I wanted to try sculpting with air drying clay. What I had at home was a piece of old milliput, which is a 2-component clay that after drying can be sanded, painted and varnished. It gets very hard. It was a few years ago that I bought the package that was open. It was a little dry to work with, but I shaped it as best I could and used a little water to get the surface smoother. A day later, the corset was ready for sanding. I'm a beginner at this, but it was so much fun. I will definitely come back and sculpt more when I have purchased epoxy clay and the right ideas hits me. Maybe for perfection, I should have used several types of sandpaper also for an absolutely smooth surface, but I didn't this time. I washed off all the sanding dust before painting the corset with several layers of the white acrylic paint. Of course, I let the paint dry between layers. I wanted to decorate with something, and since I had already created a pair of soft ice cream shoes at this point, I decided to use the same type of decoration on the top. For this I used hot melt glue, acrylic paint and sprinkles. Stay tuned for the shoe segment later in this video to see how I made the sprinkles. Now to the shoes. I used a Monster High doll that was the same size feet to draw out an approximate size to make a simple shoe, or slipper might be the right word. I then used it as a template on a soft foam plate that I recycled from when I bought a mobile phone case to create the shoe. For the shoe strap, I cut and folded a piece of electrical tape. I like to use what I already have at home. Put it all together with a glue gun. Old silicone cords I bought in bulk at the second-hand store became sprinkles. White acrylic paint and a little Mod Podge glue were used as a base for the ice cream color and to attach the sprinkles. I wanted a tulle skirt with many layers. I wasn't sure about the length, so I started with a little more length. Because I adore ballerina skirts, I ended up cutting it to a short length. A little more decoration was needed for a skirt as well, so I used a lovely white net fabric that I cut into a round and painted with some acrylic paint that matched the sprinkles. All the stands I have at home are suitable for dolls like Cindy and Barbie that can have the holder at the waist. Now, with the hard corset, that didn't work. I therefore wanted a stand that could hold the doll under the skirt. So here comes a bit more recycling. I used a plastic lid, a base from a solar lamp and a soda cap, glued it all together and painted in a color that could resemble a waffle cone. I first thought of painting it in a checkered pattern like a biscuit, but since I had the mesh fabric left on the table, it also had to act as the biscuit texture. Finally, I used the foam clay that was wonderful to work with as a soft ice cream decoration around the stand. Here's the final result. Even though she is far from perfect, I think she is quite cute and I learned a lot, and most importantly, it was a really fun project. Subscribe, comment, share and like. It means everything to me to know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.